call meeting to order the Oxford Downtown Development Authority annual or monthly board meeting, May 19th at 7:02. Will you please rise and stand for the flag? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have roll call, please.
Yep. Schultz,
Here.
Rod Charles absent, Bree Powers here, Ashley Ross,
Here.
Jacob Nicosia,
Here.
Holly Pfeiffer, she's excused, I believe, right? Scott Taylor excused,
Yep.
and Jay Choi.
Here. Very good. Any public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none. Consent agenda? Approval of the proposed agenda.
Can I propose an amendment to the agenda adding 9E, historic marker application?
Support.
Okay. Any others? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same thing.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the proposed agenda with the amended 9E.
Okay.
Support.
Then move and support, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to receive and file items 5B, C, and D.
Support.
Then moved and supported. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same thing. Financials?
Motion to receive and file financials A and B with bills in the amount of $28,367.43.
Second.
Roll call. Choi,
Aye.
Nicosia,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Powers, yes, and Schultz.
Yes. Before we go any farther, I would like to take this moment if Kimberly would please introduce to the board our new intern.
Yes, thank you. Come on up, Riley. This is our new intern. You can go right behind the podium there, sorry. So we won't put you on the spot too much. I just told her that you guys saw her resume last month, so you are familiar with her background and the wonderful institution that she goes to. We won't name any names, but we all know where that is. But if you wanted to just say hi and a little bit about yourself outside of your resume, that'd be great.
Yeah. Hello. I'm from Oxford. Went to Lake Orion. I'm super interested in communications and public relations. So, getting some experience here.
Yeah. And we threw her in last week with literal back-to-back meetings for her first 2 days. She was running around like a crazy person. So she's definitely coming in, jumping in hot, and we have some really fun projects for her to do this summer. Some not as fun, but still are going to be a good experience. So we're really excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
DD reports, the ORG committee did not meet this month. The EV committee report, do you have that, or?
Yeah, Marie, do you want to do that, or you want me to do that?
Go ahead, I'm gonna do design right after.
Okay. We met, there was a lot of conversation, not all of it was about EV, but basically what the focus of it, we had a new member join, we had Jay join, we had a new member that I believe wants to stay with our group. We'll see.
I think we scared him off.
Yeah, I don't know. He could hold his own against
Yeah.
certain committee
Yeah.
members, so
Yeah.
I think it was fun for those two. But so basically what we talked about was what is the purpose of the committee, why are we here, and what are we really focusing on? And so we talked a lot about collaboration. And how we kind of partner businesses, and Jay was a great example. It very organically came up in conversation how he has partnered with other businesses, just again organically. It's just sort of happened based on like their the areas of focus. So that we're really looking to help support our businesses do more of that throughout the district. And then, yeah, I think that is really that. Did I miss anything, Jay or Marie?
The key businesses that attract.
Oh, right, yes, thank you. We did focus part of the conversation on looking at what differentiates Oxford as a community and how we can help utilize that to draw traffic in and draw more sales for the businesses. Some of those were the arcade, the theater, we talked about the breweries, the bike shop. Did I miss any? So we're really looking to try and synergize and leverage those businesses.
And foster more collaboration between the businesses
Between
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see a lot of potential in the future for this committee.
Very good. The promotional committee report.
Okay, I'll do that one too, sorry. I'm like, I'm just happy to be here tonight. Okay, so we kind of just ran through, I mean, I'm not gonna go through all of this, but we ran through the events that we had, some feedback. We talked about some events coming up. What we really want to do is have block champions, and so we attempted to try and do this with business owners outside of the promo committee, and I think what we realized is that utilizing the individuals within the promo committee was a natural solution, because we have business owners from each of the quads except for one, and then we have one person who raised their hand to do that fourth quad. So utilizing those individuals to give materials to disperse to different business owners, or if we ever have to get feedback or kind of disseminate information verbally, they're willing to do that. So that was exciting. We talked about the volunteer program. That's really going well. I checked this afternoon and we have a lot more volunteers than I was expecting to see. The last time I looked, I think we had like 2, and now we have a solid handful. We have quite a few people. Holly has done an amazing job of reaching out to the schools, so I think we're getting a lot of students realizing this is kind of fun hours that they can get for high school. So we have quite a few for the summer concerts and market, which we haven't done before. So that's going to be pretty cool to have more hands on deck for that. And then, you know, continuing to talk about our marketing and how we can help support marketing. Yeah.
The design committee.
Yes. So some of the action items or open items that we talked about were the furniture update, that we have ordered new furniture. We have Excel engaged to do the power washing again. And some sad news, picnic tables and the fire table were missing from the
We
community
did find the
spaces.
fire table.
You did?
Sorry, I'm so
All
sorry to
right.
interrupt, but
All
yes,
right.
I'm so excited about
Oh,
this.
that's good.
So that was not
Missing.
misplaced.
Okay, cleanup day, I understand went swimmingly. We're going to be having a flower planting day as well, that's TBD. We have a new sign grant application from Summer Sundays, and I believe we'll be bringing that to the board today?
Tonight, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We've got placemaking activities going on in Washington Square, the planter boxes. Oh, in the patio, the lighting to fix height issues, and the East Street mural. Centennial Park, we're hoping that the Garden Club might be able to help us out with that. And the other project is the gazebo ramp design that's in the works. And then in the courtyard, the furniture was moved from the alley space over towards Summer Sundays, and I had the pleasure of actually sitting in that furniture the other day. Upcoming events, as mentioned, the flower planting day, and then our next meeting is going to be held on June 10th. So that's a change from the minutes. And I already mentioned cleanup day went very well. And we have a new committee member as well who's interested in joining the committee.
Awesome. One quick thing, I did see Excel start, or they were watching some buildings today, so.
Yep, so from my understanding, they have given all the quotes to all of the businesses that have expressed interest, and they've started to do some of the work, but not all of the businesses as of yet. So that was received very well. I think some of the businesses were very happy to see that offered again this year. And then just as a side note, as their contribution to our cleanup day, they power washed all of our umbrellas. So that was really awesome, so that I don't think if we do have to buy any more umbrellas, it's only gonna be like 1 or 2. So that's a huge cost savings this year. To pay for those picnic tables that we're missing. Although I will say for the picnic tables, I think we can make do without them this year, but then next year, we might have to get 1 or 2 smaller things, but I don't think we're gonna order the big picnic tables this year. I think we'll muddle through.
Good. The Home and History Subcommittee?
Yes, so we did meet, but it was just Allison and I, so we did some follow-up with emails. Basically, we're at a point where we're in like the get stuff done mode, so we're gonna see a lot of stuff hopefully coming up to our board, and then as needed, making recommendations to village council as well. So everyone's been assigned different things. Historical didactics are in proofreading right now, and then they'll go to the museum just to double check to make sure that my edits didn't cut on any of the facts that they put together last summer, and then they will go into design committee from there to actually design it, since don't leave it to us history folks. So we're gonna pass that over. Scott is aware.
We're keeping involved.
And then they should be ready to go onto the buildings, but obviously we'll have a quote and all that for this board before doing that. Historic markers, we have narrowed it down to do 1 in the next year, and that will be with the Lone Ranger, because we know there is the Lone Ranger money, which we'll be discussing later on in the agenda, but I'll give a full rundown of that later. Historic mural, Rod is spearheading that, so it sounds like we have tentative approval from the building owner, and then just getting some quotes together from different artists to do it. The Historical Places Tour is going to do a pilot later this month. Forgive me, I don't remember the date off the top of my head. The 21st? Okay, thank you. And then we haven't done anything yet with the time capsule event, so that's kind of coming up in the next steps. We are nixing doing the film, and that, not necessarily nixing it, that's the last priority, because it's going to be so expensive and such a huge cost that, you know, we can do that as time goes on if needed. So that's where we're at with that so far.
Very good. If no questions, then the Executive Director's report.
A lot of the last month has been spent working with current businesses, new businesses, potential businesses, looking at promotional opportunities to help support the new businesses that have opened. We've had 2-3 businesses open in the last month. So a lot of activity around talking with the owners, getting them kind of onboarded to Oxford, helping them navigate the system. Other than that, our intern started, which we're super excited about. And I think I mentioned this, but I didn't realize it until after I wrote it, that Jess completed successfully her probationary period. So we're very excited about that too. So we're working on different projects. The budget, which this is in the agenda, but I'm going to give a spoiler now. The budget was approved by Village Council, so we're super pumped about that. And I don't know that there's anything else like earth-shattering in here. Again, you can read. Oh, we did kick off our podcast. We rebooted and rebranded the podcast that was started in 2024. So that's pretty fun. And I got to speak to the Parks and Rec group at Throat Coffee Connect last couple weeks ago. So that was really fun to meet with some of the community members and get their questions and some feedback and insight from people that don't show up at our door.
Very good. All right, moving on to unfinished old business, the crosswalk project.
Okay, so I sent an email out to the group earlier today. Things were moving along very nicely. We got the bid process out, and we only had unfortunately 1 bid that came in last week, and we opened the bid, and it was substantially higher than what we were expecting from a cost standpoint. And then Joe, I don't know if you want to speak to this at all, but the village submitted the traffic plan to MDOT, and at that point, feedback came back, or was it through Roe?
Yeah.
Okay, we got feedback regardless of saying that we are non-compliant with the requirements from MDOT and that the crosswalks as presented are too close to the intersection. So we are in the process right now of working with Roe because we do have documentation of initial feedback that it was not going to be a concern from MDOT. So we're working through that process. Initially, we were going to have the contractor come tonight and speak to the estimate, answer any questions, kind of talk through, the numbers, and just kind of get a general feel for how the board was feeling about it. But at this point, we're on hold because if we do not get approval from MDOT, that kind of changes our scope of the project.
Ashley?
Would MDOT rather people just continue to run into traffic? Because that's what they do, like I know.
I don't believe so. Paul is doing a great job in the emails that I've seen go back and forth, kind of pushing that this is a need in our community. So we haven't seen anything come back yet from MDOT. It was just sent today. But again, he's been very supportive and kind of helping to push that agenda. One of the things he suggested was that we may need to do, if push comes to shove, we may need to do like a camera kind of just showing the pedestrian flow and kind of to prove that this is really something necessary for us.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or anything?
But that being said, if everything were to move forward and we do get the approvals, the estimate is here in your packet. Pete and Joe and I will be meeting with BSI again tomorrow to talk through some questions on the costing. Because as mentioned, the initial or the revised estimate in April was 130, and then what we got back from BSI was 215, I believe. So that's substantially higher than we were expecting.
So we'll talk to them tomorrow to see, get some clarification on some of the numbers, because then reading through some of them don't make sense. So it's, hopefully get some clarification from them and
Yeah.
look at it tomorrow.
Yep. And I spoke with him this morning. He's very open and willing to talk, number one, right now about the exact estimate, and then also, I'm newer here to the process, so obviously we have to follow the appropriate process, but kind of talking through if we do have to change the scope of the project, what that would look like and how they could help support that if possible.
So, Ashley?
Do we have to go out and rebid it again then?
More than likely.
Okay.
Just curious too, which system did we do that through?
Where's the advertising?
Yeah.
Dodge Reports, Construction Connect, and I put it on our Michigan Mitten, which is BidNet, and which is, that's approved even for federal procurement. We had, I think it was several people looking at them, bids, but it's kind of a tough thing to do, work down those quadrants with the lane closures and stuff, so it's kind of a in and out, a lot of moving around, but still, I was pretty shocked at the numbers myself.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So, more to come. The next item under 8B on unfinished business, the gazebo plan review.
Yeah, so we've been working with Design House on these drawings for the gazebo. There's two components. There's the replacement and repair of wood, rotting wood within the gazebo, and then the second piece is the ADA ramp. So what I would like to do today is to just talk through and get feedback on if you feel comfortable moving forward and putting this out for bid. The way that he would do it is he would have it, and correct my terminology because again I'm still learning, but different options or different packages that the contractors can choose. So they could just quote the gazebo replacement or they could quote it with the ramp. And I believe that we also asked him to include electric.
No, we're gonna leave electric to the side. Last I talked to him,
We do or do not?
we were leave it separate, because it's a whole
Oh,
different,
okay.
whole different set of people, whole different contractors, different everything. We were gonna look at the electrical upgrades over at the panel separately. Now, there was a couple outlets on here, but I think it still might be better just to talk to some electricians specifically for the electrical stuff, separate from the carpentry work, so to speak.
Now, is the options just so you can get separate pricing on the ramp?
You know, I don't know. I wasn't involved in those meetings specific to that part. I only met with them afterwards about the electrical and saying, look, we've got some bullet points, and Rudy and I put together like a design plan build, rather than specking it out right down to the electrical components. We want to give them an overall picture. Here's what we're looking for. Here's what we need. Give us an idea of what you would propose, Mr. Electrician, you know, and get 2 or 3 prices that way. It's so different and different contractors completely than the other. I said, let's just keep those 2 items separate. I'm not, I wasn't in the loop on the
Yeah.
ramp stuff. I think that more than likely, it seems like whoever's gonna bid the renovation or the repairs on the gazebo itself will be able to do the ramp similarly. It's more in the
Yeah.
same vein at least.
Yeah. But
We
I
were
think,
talking when we met with them,
yeah,
and again, not knowing where the sidewalk, crosswalk project comes in at the final number.
Okay.
And then, again, depending on how far the money goes, whether, you know, if we can afford it with the ramp and hopefully include it. But again, if it gets down to the point that we have to, you know, cut that portion off, because that portion alone could be, I don't know, 15,000 or something, just build a ramp. So
Sure.
again, it gives us something to compare on, to look at. The overall project of it, I mean, it's kind of hard to read the writing on some of the numbers on here, but although the railings on the bottom would all be removed because it's all wood, it's cracked, it's rotten, split, falling apart, and then all the same thing about, you know, around the fascia, and then all the railings around the top would be the same thing. All that would come down and be replaced. And we're looking at putting back in composite material where it's the white all the way through, so you don't ever have to paint it again, cut down on maintenance, longer life, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what they're looking at doing on everything like that, and then also doing some outdoor of the, or I should say the outside of the cupola on the top to look at that. The actual roof itself had been replaced probably, I'm thinking 9 years ago or so.
Yeah, before me.
Yeah, that was when Bill Dunn was involved, and he got somebody local to give us a deal, and they basically replaced it for next to nothing. So the roof itself is sound and good. So, but that's what the project at this point will entail. And then hopefully after tonight, based on your approval tonight, then we can get with the architect, and he can go ahead and finish the rest of it and send it out for bid.
Thank you.
So you needed a motion to move ahead with it then, so that you can let them know that we're in agreement with it, put it that way. Okay.
And this was shared with council at the meeting last week as well, so they've all seen it.
So at this point, I would make a motion to approve moving forward and sending it out to bid for the gazebo renovation project.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same thing? New business, selfie wall.
yes. So I was approached by a business owner a couple weeks ago wanting to move forward with this mural that I was not familiar with, was in the works. So after doing a little bit of investigation, my understanding is that this was something that was done last summer. And basically what happened is we have a business owner who has contracted Nick Hotman, the artist, to put together a mural on the north side of, is it 41? 40?
40.
40. Okay, I'm getting better.
49.
So the idea is, the intent is that it's kind of a welcoming mural for people driving southbound on 24. And if you look at the images, which are the second to last and the third to last images, they went through a couple of iterations. Talking with the design committee, they don't recall seeing this last year. So I don't know how far it went through the process, but I also understand that this has not been at the board level before either. So it did go to the design committee, they looked at it, they preferred the second image with the wildcat. But the intent is that each of these panels would be a separate selfie opportunity and to really help motivate people to park, exit their vehicle, take a selfie, and then once they're out of their car, they might be more inclined to go walk around downtown. So financially, what we're looking at is the original kind of discussion was the DDA would support at $2,500, and then the group, business owner and artist would solicit donations, sponsorships for the other $2,500. My understanding is that the building owner has approved it, but I have requested to have that in writing. I have not received that as of yet, so that's pending. Obviously, we would need that to move forward. I did have a preliminary conversation with Joe. It doesn't violate any ordinances, so as long as the building owner is in agreement, it's not a problem.
You mentioned that one of the building owners has actually contracted with Nick to do the work?
That was my understanding. They had this proposal, they put this together between the K-Blox owner and Chapman. And again, I don't know how involved my predecessor was in this and where, it doesn't sound like it got that far along, but they're reaching out to me asking to move forward. Pete? Any questions?
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I'm trying to follow the rules, which is
I was trying to look at the pictures.
I do really like the location. Seeing as the trolley stop is right over there, it is not a very welcoming space currently. I don't know if they have any benches or anything over there either.
I think there's one by the, or no, there's that
I don't know.
wall. I don't
I
think
don't
there
think
is.
there are any.
No.
Yeah, I don't think there is any. Because most people just sit on that wall.
Right,
Yeah.
so I think, this definitely does a lot to help activate the space. I really like the revisions. As I was flipping through, I did not like the starting point per se, but I like where it went. I don't know if the umbrella has much to do with Oxford, but I think it's a cute little photo.
Yeah. And I think the intent was, I think obviously you can read, but, they kind of took a look at this and from the artist's perspective, what's hot around the country? What are people gravitating towards when it comes to taking selfies? And I think that was a big one.
Stand there like you're holding the umbrella.
Yeah. So yeah, you're riding a bike, you're standing under a light, you're holding the umbrella, you're in the tiger's mouth. What, or wildcat? All right.
Do we have this in our budget? Like, do we have enough to do it? Like, you didn't plan for this.
I think we could make it work, certainly, if we find value in it.
So one of the things that I'd really like to mention is, and I don't know what's gonna look like moving forward per se, so I'll preface that, but MAC does mural grants for communities year over year, and I tried to encourage our predecessor to do that as well, especially if we knew about this last year, which obviously we all didn't, but if we knew about this, this was something that we could have easily funded, and then it's a 50-50 matching grant, but that makes life so much easier. So, I would love to do it. I think it activates a space that's in need. But from a financial standpoint, if we don't have it, we don't have it. But moving forward, there's ways for us to have this year after year.
Joe?
So, I think it's great. I love the revisions too. I've never seen this or heard about it until today myself. So I'm with you. But I think when we adopted the budget at the council level, we put the budget fund balance on there, and the current fund balance of the DDA is like 900 grand. So you're not poor. Yes, you're gonna spend some of that money, like 140 that's received revenue for the grant. Okay, that's 140. If you approve this, whether it's tonight or next month, just keep in mind that you want to approve it to expend in the next 6 weeks, which is this fiscal year, or approve it then and for the following, and that's easy to do. Just we'll just make the budget amendment. If it needs to be amended before the end of June, I can help Kimberly get that amendment done and bring it to you for approval. Or it'll just be done, something that's done June 1 or July 1 going forward, then it's just paid for out of that budget and it's easily done.
As we get closer to the end of the budget, you know, here we are, almost the end of May, 1st of June anyhow, so you've got roughly 45 days left in the budget year. There are other things in the budget line items that we're not going to total out or doing whatever, so obviously there's money.
Just make sure the right line item has the right amount in it, so you don't go over that particular cost center, that's all. You don't have as many cost centers as we do, it's just.
Correct. So there is room to move it about if we want.
I don't know what the timeframe might be, I mean. 'cause
Yeah, I'm thinking if they're soliciting sponsorships or, I don't know what the right word, fundraising, I don't know that they're gonna get that done in the next 4 weeks, maybe not. But would this be considered a capital improvement? Because I did kind of buffer that number for the next budget for anything that we decided we wanted to do as a board, above and beyond the ARPA stuff.
Okay. Either way, I can make it work.
In that case, I make a motion to approve $2,500 to go towards this mural in next fiscal year.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported to approve this in the 2025-2026
Yes.
budget. Okay. Any other discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Powers, yes. Ross? Nicosia?
Yes.
Choi?
Yes.
And Schultz.
Yes. Motion approved. 9B, painting the blacktop asphalt with beams in Washington Square.
Yes. So this was another thing that was brought to me about, that this was something that was kind of investigated or explored last year. And that my understanding is that it did come to the board for approval, and at that time it was not approved. So I was, number one, wanting to have a conversation about it and just get a general feel for your thoughts. And then if you are in agreement and like the idea, we can do a motion. I've reached out for quotes from multiple artists for this particular project, and realistically, Pete and I were talking, it's something we could do. I mean, we could have our intern. She said she has a steady hand, so. But we're looking at very simple things like a checkerboard, hopscotch, tic-tac-toe. So it's pretty much lines. We're not looking for art per se, so I don't know that we need to have a true artist do it. And then of course we can always, we could reach out to other candidates as well, but again, I don't know that we need to have a true artist do it. But we're looking from a location standpoint. The way that it was kind of explained to me is that in the past it might have been dispersed or interspersed throughout downtown in different locations. I'm looking really specifically in Washington Square, just to keep it, number one, contained, and number two, just I don't know that right now at least we want to have that type of art around town just yet. Maybe pilot it in Washington Square and see how it goes.
Out of all the corners in downtown, I feel like that's where you see all the children play.
Yeah,
Like parents bring their kids to that
Yeah.
square because it's more open.
to run around.
And the park, but the park has, its own checkerboard,
Yeah,
tables and all that,
Yeah.
so. And then the cornhole that was there in Washington Square for people to play, but you could
Mhm.
never find the bags. And, they always go missing, so I think having something there where people can bring chalk of their own and
Yeah.
draw and the rain will wash it away, I think
Right.
it's something definitely to consider.
okay. Yeah, and I think, Joe and I were talking today about this as well as, again, I was not involved in the conversations, but I think there was some concern in the past about having it in different areas of downtown, of having perhaps a tripping hazard if there was chalk laid out, who's gonna own that responsibility. Within Washington Square, we have had chalk the last several summers, and we haven't had any issues. With that, we do have the deck box that holds all of the bits and pieces for games. But just when we're looking at the activities that we have in Washington Square and physically moving, setting up, tearing down, it seems more efficient to have something that's already there and that we don't have to worry about. The cars can drive on top of that, the vendors can set up on top of that, and we're not having to like spend a lot of time moving things.
Or having the carpeting blow out into 24.
Yeah, yeah, that too. We tried taping that thing, we've tried gluing the, I mean, we've tried. We gave it a college try. But yeah, it does not work. We set out the checker set a couple weeks ago thinking that we were in the clear with the weather, and within 2 days the rugs were all over, the pieces were all over. We had to go back and put them in the deck box, and yeah.
So you have,
I do not have a quote at this time. So I think at this point, I'm looking to see if you're even interested in having a conversation about this, or if this is not, we don't want to do this.
okay.
I would love to, we're high users of this.
Okay.
Blake will be very pleased.
Oh, good. Well, I
Sounds
love
like
that.
there are preferences.
Maybe you can draw it.
We
No.
love that. He's 7.
I mean, does he have a steady hand?
No.
I think,
Yes, Maria.
I think having it in Washington Square makes the most sense by far. I don't see any benefit to dispersing it throughout
Right.
the downtown area. And I don't recall last year why we turned it down, but I was given the assignment to contact a few artists, which I did. And basically they weren't interested. So I think if we could keep it to a simple design that,
Yeah.
you know, we could manage on our own, I think that's definitely the way to do it.
Okay.
I wonder if the high school art students
Oh.
would be interested.
That's a great idea.
Or even middle school.
Wait, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's squares.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's basically just a checkerboard, you know, there's no, you know, sculpturing or anything going on around it or anything like that. It's just basically painting the squares on the
We
asphalt.
could treat that little along the side, a little design on the side of it, so.
can work on
If it's an actual high school artist. you know.
Yeah, I mean, certainly they can put together a proposal. I mean, I would obviously bring it back for you guys to take a look at. So, yeah, I'll reach out to the high school and see if they have anybody. That's a great idea.
Great. 9C, sign grant from Summer Sundays.
Marie, do you want to talk?
Yeah,
about
I'm
that?
looking for my notes again. Okay, the design committee would like to suggest to the board that we issue a grant, a 50% grant of the quote, not to exceed $1,500 for Summer Sundays sign. A grant pending sign approval by the Village of Oxford. And I'm looking for the cost, I don't see that here.
Their cost,
The grant, the sign grant amount,
up to $1,500.
up to $1,500, okay, all right. So that would be a motion. A motion, yeah.
I do have a question on it.
That's it, yes.
Well, I mean, the date on this kind of threw me for a loop. It's from May 24.
So I think the way that I understood it is that they reached out to one of these, was it this one? They reached out to a, what do you call it, sign company, and they did not hear back for quite some time. And I don't know if that's this one or if it was a different one.
I mean, this is over a year old that we're looking at now.
Yeah,
They didn't open till like September, did they, or August?
I think they opened in August, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that they still want this, like we didn't just Does it make sense? Like, I don't know if you know
Yeah, that's correct.
from, maybe.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't attend this meeting, so I don't have any.
Okay.
You've had a conversation with Kimberly?
I did. I was not aware that this was, am I blind? Where are you seeing the date?
So the top, May 2nd, 2024, signed May 2nd, 2024. I mean, even on it says currently Lori's Pet Shop, and it hasn't, you know, been that for quite some time.
I wonder if she did the wrong year. Because if you look at the estimated project completion date, it's June of 2024 also on their application, and she signed it 2024. So I'm wondering, we just got this a couple weeks ago, so I'm guessing she did the wrong year on this. But I can definitely reach back out. Because they were, I know that when they looked into it last year, when they opened in the fall, and they did not receive a response back from one of the sign companies. And then they kind of put it on hold because they were closed for the winter. And then when they opened back up,
Yeah.
yeah,
Now that you
They
said-
opened late fall and then they closed.
Yeah. they were only open for a couple months.
That makes way more sense that maybe they just wrote
The wrong
the
year.
wrong year.
Yeah.
Or I just,
More than once.
in multiple places,
Yeah.
that they were very committed to it, so I just want to make sure that we.
Is this a backlit sign? Or is it gonna have gooseneck lights?
I don't believe so. I think it's just a flat.
If it's internally illuminated, that's where the planning commission for special use approval. But if it's not, and it just simply complies, then they can just comply with the normal planning ordinance and get their permit.
Is it on the building?
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it's right on the front, on the gray, it's, what do you call
The
it?
mansard roof part of it?
Yes, that thing, thank you.
We have a motion, do we need to
Yeah, do we
amend it?
rescind it, or do we amend it and reject it, or?
Yours is you're making a recommendation to us to approve it, is what you're doing.
Right,
So now.
and we approved it, but now we
We haven't
repeat
done-
it and reject it? Is that what we did?
We haven't done anything.
We've
have
just
a-
discussed
Yeah,
that,
we
we haven't
discussed it
voted
just-
yet.
Oh, that's true, yeah. So, you want a roll call for the vote, and we'll reject it?
Shouldn't you can just amend it and say pending
Yep.
Oh, okay,
the director gets approval.
okay. All right, I'll make a motion to issue a sign grant to Summer Sunday at 50% of the quote, not to exceed 1,500 for a sign, pending approval of the village and resolution of the date of the
Of the
work.
application.
Yeah, on the application.
Support,
Did you support it last time?
I was.
Okay, yeah, that's all, I just want to make sure we're the same people, that's all, sorry, cool.
Okay. And then, do you need a roll call on too?
Any other discussion on it, questions? Been moved and supported. Roll call, please.
Yep. Nicosia,
Yes.
Choi,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
and Powers, yes.
Next on 9B is blighted structure grant for Vinnie's Brunch.
Yes, so the owners of Vinnie's came to visit last week and met with Joe and I to talk about the blighted structure grant. They have a contractor that they are working with to move forward with demolition and have requested the grant. We do not have a formal grant application as of yet. So I asked them to put a letter together, email together, kind of detailing similar to what we did with our last application of how much they expect the demolition to cost. And we did discuss that we have a max of $7,500, and they understood that and we're okay with that.
The one concern of the same concern that we had with the one on the Hampton block, would be my recommendation that, as part of the agreement, that the money's not paid to them until they have met the village's demolition
Building permits issued and they're complete and closed out.
complete and closed out. That would be my recommendation on that.
So moved.
Yeah, I think they're probably gonna run into quite a bit of expense with, when they do the demo, with keeping all that contained, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a good idea.
Okay,
I will make a motion to approve the blighted structure grant to Vinnie's Brunch in the amount of $7,500 to be paid upon village approval and completion of project.
Support.
then move to support. Any other discussion or questions? Roll call vote.
Yep, Schultz,
Yes.
Powers, yes. Ross,
Yes.
Nicosia,
Yes.
and Choi.
Yes.
Hopefully moving forward. They still have to come before the building department actually for sort of how they're gonna,
Yeah, we told them we need a serious plan, and they're working with the construction contractor. Spoke to them again today, about their plan. We need to see their demolition plan, and the building official has to review that plan before we'll issue any permit.
okay, very good.
I found out that from what I told, it's a partial basement down there. It doesn't go all the way over to the neighboring north and south walls. So that's a little better, I think. It's not just all wide open to the other walls. It's only a small partial basement in the center of the building, I understand. So there's a lot of ground down there that may not be removed, but we'll see what their plan says.
Okay, very good. And on to 9E.
All right, thank you so much. So, in light of funding and to make sure we're being the best stewards and doing the best with this project, we, the Home and History Ad Hoc Committee, would like to do a historic marker for the Lone Ranger. There's a couple things, there's some for discussion. One is figuring out a location within the village of where this marker would be. The village currently holds an account that, at our last meeting last week, has $7,475.18. Historic markers with the state of Michigan are reviewed twice a year. So we would be getting our application in on September 14th of this year. We have to have everything by the 15th. Then the whole committee would review and approve or deny, so basically on 6-month cycles. It's $250 to apply. The actual historic marker, we're looking at the big green ones that has the larger size, 2 posts on the side, $4,785. It includes the posts and the shipping as well. Another item of discussion would be a sponsor strip at the bottom, and forgive me, I don't have a full proposal yet for this, but it's in the works. And basically it would say, you know, erected by Oxford Downtown Development Authority. If we wanted that, that's an additional $670. So I don't have a recommendation for that yet. I will after our next Home and History Committee meeting. Installation, it could be potentially done by DPW, and maybe we absorb some of those costs. And then also looking at a dedication type ceremony. In total, we're looking at somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000, potentially maybe a little bit more depending. That also would leave some monies left over. And I was talking to Kelsey that the township had asked for some of those funds to go towards the Lone Ranger marker on the Pollyann Trail, so that would leave some of that money over there as well, which I know they would be happy about. And then the village would be able to close out a lingering account that has just been sitting there not being used. So, my question today, we would need village's approval is if we can make a recommendation to village for at least, excuse me, asking for $250 to apply. Because it's going on village property, we also need the village to sign off. We also would have to sign off as an entity. So to basically ask their permission to do it on their property and ask for $250. I wasn't sure if we also wanted to ask them, I mean, we know the cost, right? So I don't know if we want to go back and ask them for approval at a later date when we find out whether or not we get it. I don't know if that's going to hold up the process at all. I kind of wanted to talk it out with everyone.
A question for you. You've got the money in the account already sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So would the majority of the funds come from that account? And how much of it would be the responsibility of the DDA is looking for?
I would like to ask the village council to pay for it all out of that fund. Because it's all related directly to Lone Ranger.
So for the $250 for the application fee, you're refunding that, or you?
I would like to ask
Okay.
village council to pay for that.
Makes sense.
Is the plan to put it in the Centennial Park or the park? Or
Well, that's where we have to decide. So it's, yeah.
That face
I
says
just want to
no.
pop up real quick.
Finish with the door.
The Lone Ranger Fund they had a large committee and they did some fundraising and they have a very in-depth program I shared with the council a while back and this was coming before then. That whole program was dedicated to putting a statue in Centennial Park. That's what it was about, that's what it was earmarked for, and of course it was 1/10 of the money to do it. So if you chose to put this marker, historical marker, which are beautiful, people recognize them, and you put it in Centennial Park, maybe along the road, up at the clock, or somewhere along there, I think it really dovetails more with the original intent.
That's really what we're trying to get at too, is to be able to use these funds so the village doesn't sit on, $7,500 in perpetuity. We can never afford to erect a statue, right? Centennial Park is getting a little crowded, but if that's the intent, that's helpful. So I don't have a location fully set out other than knowing it's gonna be in the village. We need to know that before we apply though,
So we have a couple months to decide.
which is very easy to do in summer government, so.
Yeah, I don't know why we would split it up, and then also it does bring people into town as well too, right?
Well, and that's part of the point too, is why we went with the official state of Michigan marker is because there are folks that do tourism specifically around the markers.
Right.
So if we put it somewhere else, if we did in Scripter Park, for example, it doesn't necessarily do that draw piece that we're trying to do as well. It also, we had floated around putting it on, the previous Beamer property, but the residents don't really love having strangers come to their house all the time. So it's kind of, the best of both worlds. I'm sure people are still gonna drive by because you can find it out really easily on Google, but hopefully we'll draw them more to town as opposed to private residential.
Just put it out in the Tanview someplace.
You could have little brochures on the.
We should just put it at Rod's house. Down at your bench, it's walking distance.
You could do tours.
Oh my God. So basically tonight, I'm looking for approval to take it to village council for at least the $250 application. And I can always go back and ask for the actual costs when we know, if and when we know we get approved.
Was that a motion?
I'm asking, what is the pleasure of the board? That's what I need to know. You can say no, or
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna bring people in, I think it's with the intent of the money, no brainer, as long as we do it tastefully in the park and, kinda make sure all the traffic flows and whatnot. Motion to, I guess,
$250 application.
go to village council with a $250 application, as well as, I believe, approval of the amount that you stated for the actual signs themselves in the amount of $4,785.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any other questions, concerns? Roll call, please.
Yep. Okay, Schultz,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Powers, yes, Nicosia,
Yes.
and Choi.
Yes.
Very good. And actually, it gets approved in September, you said?
That's when it's due. It could take months.
So, yeah, in other words, potentially we could be looking at installation in the middle of '26.
That would be ideal. That is why I'm really pushing for the September deadline, meeting that, 150, 250 goal, so.
Awesome, good. All right, there were no items removed from the consent agenda. Board member comments? Maria, start with you.
Well. I don't really have anything specific, but looking forward to the summer and the concerts starting and all that good stuff, and downtown hopping and jumping. So thank you for your hard work, and may it continue.
Awesome. Jacob?
Love summer. I got to see the trolley going around this weekend. That was an awesome sight. I think it brings so much to the community, and everybody says everything. It really feels like summer when you start to see that. So excited for that, and that's it for this month.
After?
Riley.
Jake?
It's really good to see a lot of people walking around town, going on jogs and stuff like that. Summer Sundays is already popping, a lot of people over there, and I love that we're making a move on some of the old structures that need improvement, like the gazebo and minis and things that a lot of people around town have been talking about, asking about, and the Good Egg is open, so that's awesome, and so a lot of good things that are in motion, and I think we're in the right direction.
Awesome, very good. Again, welcome Riley, look forward to working with you this summer.
Thank
Hope you enjoy your time here.
I already am.
Good answer.
Lots of stuff going on, Kimberly, and back and forth, so I will see you again, you and Joe tomorrow morning then, and hopefully we can get part of that bid straightened out and moving forward on that, so. With that, any extended public comment? Seeing none at this time, motion to adjourn? At 7:58, 59?
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meetings are.